history shows bad things happen when our intelligence community doesn't share information. And
I
so
know, but
with this situation,
I remember my joke at the time that we created the Department of Homeland Security was, gosh, if we only had some sort of central intelligence agency. You see my point? We already had it.
But their job,
they need to get rid
the
of
CIA's job was never to coordinate all of the various intelligence community elements. That was never their stated purpose. Whereas the Director of National Intelligence, that's their purpose.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to give them credit. I mean, something worked. Now, maybe it was just that the jihadists decided to take a break. I mean, they have been at it for over 1,000 years, so like they played the long game. Maybe it was like, okay, we visit a painful chastisement on the infidel. Let's take a couple of decades off. That could be, I don't think that's it.
No, I think we're putting resources towards this, and it's working.
Yes.
And so if we put resources towards the UAP issue, and we make the base facts known, a lot of great change will come out of that, and the U.S. will lead in that technology race.
Well, I find it very interesting that your movie is called The Age of Disclosure, and Spielberg has a movie coming out called
Disclosure Day.
What is the key word here that we seem to be tracking? It would be disclosure. I mean, it seems like this is the issue now, that for a lot of people, we've moved past the question, is it happening? Yeah. It's a little like climate change. There was a time when it was like, is it happening? Is it man-made? And then, of course, there are stragglers who don't believe it is, but they're not credible people.
You know, what's interesting, what was a turning point in that? Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, a documentary, right?
It was, yeah, I mean, certainly that came out, I think 2002 or something. I feel like by the 90s, people were on the page of, it's happening, and it is man-made. What to do about it? That's a debate we absolutely can and should be having. But there are still stragglers, who don't believe in that, as there will always be with this. There will always be stragglers. But basically, you pass these tipping points where it's like evolution. When 1859, Darwin put that out. It wasn't like in 1860, everybody was like, oh, evolution, we all believe in that. Yeah. It took a while before it's tested, people challenge it, and then it's like, okay, this is the reality. Let's go on to the next question. I feel like we should be on to the question of, again, I don't think it's coincidence that this word comes up in both these films, disclosure. And I feel like when they look back, now the Spielberg movie comes out in June. I feel like, you're going to be the John the Baptist to this Jesus Christ of a movie, because it is Spielberg. It's something zillions of people are going to see. It's about the same subject, but it's for the masses. Not that your movie didn't do great, but it's like this is now
number one best-selling documentary ever on Prime Video.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, people are interested and people get it. And I feel like from the history major's point of view, the analogy is this. The Roman Empire was persecuting Christians, feeding them to the lions, that old shit, in the 3rd century. 30 years later, they were Christians. They went from feeding them to the lions to, okay, now we are that.
Yeah.
One emperor declared it, and then we all just fell in line. Maybe it took a few years, I'm sure, but I feel like that's where we are with this. Like, it was a eye roll for a long time. Oh, aliens, UFOs, yeah, sure. And maybe that's still going to be the case. We don't know. Nobody knows. But I feel like it's passing that tipping point where if you're the person who really thinks we're alone in the universe, you're kind of on the side of
not flat earthers and yeah,
flat earthers, right? You're exactly. You're kind of, or global warming isn't. I mean, Republicans were still saying that it wasn't real and it wasn't man-made very recently. I mean, certainly in the last 20 years, they were trotting out silly. There was one Newsweek story in the 70s about how the planet was cooling. Look, the planet's cooling, they used to say, and it's like, okay, you know what? You can always convince a certain number of people.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is where it's going to go, and I feel like the big thing is going to be the Spielberg movie.
Everyone I interviewed was really clear with me that it's not a question as to whether this is real. We're way past that. Every single person I interviewed made that very clear. Their educated opinion was we are way, way past that. Now the question is, where are they from? What's their intention?
Right.
And can we, as a nation, crack this technology before an adversary does? And they all took that extremely seriously. And everyone I interviewed thought that getting rid of the stigma in our country is a huge, huge hurdle to winning that technology race. We have to get rid of the stigma so that academia and the scientific community can take this seriously and know it's a valid area of inquiry and help us win this technology race. And they all thought that this documentary is going to play a major role in opening the public's eyes. And I heard that over and over from everybody from Rubio on down. Right. And they were all very, very serious about it. I do think it's power in movies, though, as you're talking about Steven's movie. Movies have a unique power to open people's eyes to thoughts. I
absolutely do.
I'm into this topic because my childhood was the 80s and early 90s, and my favorite movie since I was a little kid was Close Encounters. I grew up on Close Encounters, E.T., X-Files was on television when I was in school, and Close Encounters made a huge impact on me. It made me curious about these big questions, made me curious about this topic. It presented it in a very grounded way. It's a very ahead of its time movie.
Well, I have always been a proponent of the idea that everything the movies depict then comes to life, which is why the fact that there are so many movies about post-apocalyptic world, after the war, after the war came, and now it's a hellscape, it's the barren, and it's just, Denzel and somebody else walking across a desert. It's just terrible. Because I feel like I've just seen it too many times. Well, whatever they're predicting is going to come true. And I remember seeing Minority Report, a great Spielberg movie, and they had screens. They were just touching and moving things on the screen, which we all do 1 billion times a day now. Yeah. But then it was like, wow. Or even flip phones in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Now he's always forward thinking and covering things that will come to be. Another great film from years ago that was ahead of its time was Abyss, with all the activity
That's James
under the ocean.
Cameron in the ocean.
Yeah.
He loves the ocean.
Yeah.
It was not a good movie.
Oh, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I did.
As movie making, I don't remember it that well. I remember being bored to tears in the theater, and I'm a big Cameron fan. I love Titanic.
Watch it. It's a good one.
Really?
And yeah, and Close Encounters. I watch every few months.
Is that about space people in the ocean?
The Abyss is about non-human intelligent life under the ocean. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And what's the spoiler alert? What's the end?
Just the takeaway is that there is other life here, and it's in the ocean, and